Raiders are going for 3 wins in a row, but can they do it without Jimmy G? And if so, who gets the nod? Max Crosby marches into Soldier Field with the 11th ranked defense, looking for another big play performance. The Silver and Black show starts now. Fun show today as we get to know Raiders rookie tight end Michael Mayer. He stops by. Also, want to talk a little offensive line? Former All-Pro lineman and Raider color analyst Lincoln Kennedy gives us his thoughts. And Carmen Vitali from Fox Sports helps us break down some key matchups for Sunday. Welcome to Week 7, everyone. I'm Theoharis. The Raiders are back in it. And thanks to the Chargers' loss on Monday night, they're in second place in the AFC West. At 3-3, the Raiders have clawed their way to 500 after consecutive home wins. Next on the slate, another team with a losing record, the 1-5 Bears. This time, though, it's on the road. Jimmy Garoppolo won't play because of a back injury, and Justin Fields is not expected to play. So, cue the backups. Will it be a barn burner? Probably not. The over-under is 37. But you have to like the Raiders' 11th ranked defense against Tyson Bagent, an undrafted rookie out of Division II Shepherd College in West Virginia. If the Raiders can leave Chicago on a 3-game win streak, we could start to do some math. 10 games left, they'll have to win at least 6 to be in the hunt. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves just yet. To help us break down this Sunday's matchup, we say hello to Carmen Vitali from Fox Sports. She covers the NFC North. Hey, Carmen, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Thanks so much for having me.
I like the fall decor, the football decor. We are getting started here in the spirit. Justin Fields, not expected to play. Tyson Bagent, as I said, will start. I grew up about 30 miles from Shepherd College. I can tell you one thing. It's not very big, and not many football players come out of that college and go to the NFL. Why is Matt Eberflus so high on this undrafted rookie?
At the end of the day, what choice does Matt Eberflus have? This is his backup. This is the guy that they have right now. He's the one they're entrusting this offense to. I do believe that Tyson Bagent fits a little bit more of what they're trying to do offensively. It's why he won the number 2 job in preseason and in training camp. He took care of the football relatively well, but he is the only quarterback too that Matt Eberflus and his staff have brought in that is currently on this roster. So that matters as well. They've been able to kind of cultivate and mold him and his game as it pertains to this offense. And honestly, maybe it was learned at Shepherd College. I don't know, but he's got this kind of swag about him where nothing seems too big for him. I remember we talked to him in the preseason, and he got up there like he was a 5-year vet to the podium and talked about the game. And it was very impressive for coming from a guy that a lot of us had never heard of prior to the Bears signing him.
In case you're wondering, Shepherd College, they are the Rams. That was his mascot there. Okay. You mentioned that he kind of fits into what they want to do on offense. Now, Justin Fields is one of the most mobile quarterbacks that can beat you with his legs. Will the identity of the offense change at all? Can Tyson Bagent run like him, or will the Raiders have to defend a mobile quarterback?
Basically, no one can run like Justin Fields. Justin Fields absolutely factors into the run scheme, or should factor into the run scheme. But honestly, through the first 2 games of this season, we haven't seen the Bears utilize him in that way. And for that reason, Tyson is mobile enough that nothing really changes with this Bears offense. In fact, Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, after the game last week, said that they didn't have to play the Bears any differently. They didn't have to defend them any differently based on when Tyson came into the game. They said it was kind of business as usual. So that's a double-edged sword in a lot of ways, but it means that should be a pretty seamless transition for the Chicago Bears offense. And we'll see how Tyson Bagent kind of is adjusted to the actual speed of the game, not just preseason.
Well, he's going to have to face a Raiders defense that has been winning games for the Raiders. It's kind of flying under the radar nationally how good the Raiders defense has been playing. What are some of the key matchups that the Bears offense will need to prepare for?
If I say Max Crosby's name 3 times, will he disappear?
No, he will not.
That's a big...
He'll just add another X to his name and show up. Yeah.
I just think that that's the number one person that the Bears should be keying in on how to defend or how to block Max Crosby, rather. Although with the way that he attacks offenses, he might as well be an offensive player. It's one of those things where the Bears offensive line has shuffled around so much this season, despite the fact that they were hoping to come into it with continuity. We thought we knew the starting five of this Chicago Bears offensive line back in minicamp. That has not been the case, and it's resulted in a lot of pressure, a lot of sacks on Justin Fields. And listen, Minnesota was no different. They're a very blitz-happy scheme, but that's going to be something that the Bears are still going to have to contend with. And with Max Crosby, if he's not in that conversation with the elite of the elite in this league as far as pass rushers go, I don't want to have that conversation. I got to see him on Monday night against the Packers, and I was like, oh my God, I hadn't been exposed to him as much until that point, and seeing him on the field in person was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, he's definitely putting up numbers that could be Defensive Player of the Year. And you mentioned the sacks that was given up by the Bears offensive line. I mean, they made the Vikings defense look much stronger than the Vikings defense had been playing last week. They sacked the Bears 5 times, so I know Max Crosby, maybe even Tyree Wilson, can get in on the action. The Bears, though, quietly have a top 8 run defense. How do you see the matchup with Josh Jacobs, who hasn't really been getting the run game going, playing out?
Honestly, I think it's going to be a challenge. It's going to continue to be a challenge for the Raiders and for Josh Jacobs because of the guys that the Bears have up front. Guys like Andrew Billings and their rookie Javon Dexter, they have really been a solid brick wall up front for the Chicago Bears defense, and especially against the run. I think that they still need to get more pressure. The Bears still leave much to be desired in the pass rush, but against the run, you're right. This Bears defense is flying a little under the radar in how well it has started to improve against the run. Again, this was the most porous run defense last year. So this is something that I think is going to be a really big matchup. We talked about matchups right before. It's going to be a big matchup for the Raiders to see if they can get the ground game going and especially take a little bit of pressure off of whoever's under center, and try and make Josh Jacobs more of a workhorse. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do that as much against the Chicago Bears, or maybe not as much as they're expecting.
Yeah, well, Josh Jacobs has been looking like he's close to popping off a big game, so we'll see what gives there. The Bears defense, another note about them, they were actually very good on third down against the Vikings. They held them to just 2 for 13. What would you say has been working, especially on third down, for the Bears defense?
A good friend of mine, Courtney Cronin, who covers the Bears for ESPN, pointed this out actually in the game, but they went to their dime package a lot on third down, put a couple extra DBs out there, and really forced Kirk Cousins to hold the ball. And that was, and also getting into third and long situations is something that they've improved upon actually all season. But that's a big thing for them. Although Matt Eberflus then said that was kind of an opponent specific strategy. That's something that is going to change week to week. But against the Vikings, the Bears were able to get stops on third down, given the fact they had more defensive backs out there, and that dime package seemed to really be working for them.
I am taking notes. We just need to send that over to whoever's going to be playing quarterback. How about the Bears running back situation? It's been a little bit of a mess with a lot of injuries. Is D'Onta Foreman going to be the lead back, or could we see Roschon Johnson or Travis Homer possibly be healthy and see more of a committee?
You're absolutely still going to see D'Onta Foreman be the lead back there. They do expect Travis Homer to be available this Sunday, but Roschon Johnson has a concussion. Those things are tricky. You never really know up until game time if he's going to be cleared. As of right now, he's still in the protocol. So they're working through that, but he has not practiced. And that to me tells me that he's probably not going to be available, and you're going to be switching off between D'Onta Foreman, Travis Homer, and now you don't have Justin Fields under center that can run the ball just as easily as a running back. So that's going to be interesting to see how much of that falls on Tyson Bagent's shoulders, or rather his legs.
That's right. All right. Well, Carmen, it is so good to see you. Thanks so much for coming on, and you can check all of her workout on foxsports.com. Thanks a lot, Carmen. Hope to have you back.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
All right, coming up here on the Silver and Black Show, Lincoln Kennedy, former Raiders All-Pro lineman, stops by. You know we're talking O-line. Also, Michael Mayer, the rookie, biggest fantasy pickup for tight ends, next. The Silver and Black Show is brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Allegiant, the official airline of the Las Vegas Raiders. Low fares, non-stop flights. Book now only at Allegiant.com. 1800, the best taste in tequila and official partner of the Raiders.
I'm serious as hell. Do whatever it takes to get fired up about this game. We gotta win today. It starts up. Let's go, D-line. Let's go, D-line. Let's go, fellas. 2, 3, 4.
Former All-Pro offensive lineman Lincoln Kennedy knew how to fire up the troops, and he joins us now. Man, don't you love seeing that old footage? He said, I was a dog back then.
Man, it was old. That was a long, really old footage, Amber. I mean, probably back before you were born, but yes, it's that old. But it's good to see you every now and then. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to have you on. And of course, if you're on, we're going to be talking a little offensive line here. And look, the offensive line has struggled this year, which is kind of interesting because it's basically the same line that produced a league-leading rusher last year in Josh Jacobs. The one difference is Van Roten at right guard. What do you see from this line that can be improved?
Well, amongst the different combinations that we've seen so far, Amber, this season, it's still a play in practice. And what I mean by that is that until they solidify the offensive line, you're going to have those issues where you have guys being installed or instilled in certain places and not necessarily up to the speed of everyone else. Look, for what it's worth, offensive lines are stronger when they are able to stay together and able to play together over time. And yes, you're right. Just from aside from one position, from last year, it did produce the league's leading rusher. But this year, it's a little bit different. The thing is that Thayer Munford, for example, is a different blocker than a Jermaine Illuminor. Illuminor does things well, like zone blocking. Munford does power blocking, man blocking. A little bit too technical to get into today, but I would just say it's just different styles of blocking. So with that being said, when you have those guys in the game, there are plays that are more conducive to their style of play than others, and that kind of limits your playbook. The big thing is that for Josh McDaniels and this offensive staff, Amber, is to get familiar with who they have, personnel they have in the game, and call plays that best utilizes that personnel at the time. That's the experiment. That's the same thing that we're kind of dealing with, the variations that we've seen so far this season. One of the reasons why the Raiders' offensive line continues to struggle.
Yeah, 5 men trying to operate as one is not easy. People point to Josh Jacobs' stats, and they say, look, he's got career low in yards per carry, a lot of criticism. Is that a little bit misguided? The lack of run game has to be a little bit more complex than just that.
Well, it really is. There is a little bit more to it than just blame it on Josh Jacobs or the play calling. A lot of it has to do timing, execution, and more importantly, you have to understand, Amber, the guys on the other side of the field get paid too. So that those defensive players get paid. They're not going to come. What we've seen so far, the first 6 games, is there's not a team that's going to allow the Raiders to come in their backyard or come to see the Raiders and not know where number 8 is on the football field. He had such a huge year last year. You're going to try to take him out. Very similar to what teams did versus the Titans when Derrick Henry was running that as strong as he was. It's the same type of mentality. They're going to send other people in the box. And more importantly, until you show that you can throw over their head or throw behind them, they're going to load the box.
So when we look at pass protection, moving on from the run game, from a pass protection standpoint, there's been games where the Raiders' offensive line's played well, and then there's games, like against the Chargers, where it wasn't pretty out there. How does an offensive line get better? Because it's not a position, those positions, you don't just go out and get new personnel and plug them in the middle of the season. So how do you get better?
Well, the thing is, it's only going to come with time, and it's going to come with time and understanding. More importantly, when you take 5 guys that have to work as one, there's a lot of nonverbal communication, but you get used to the way the guy next to you is playing, so you know how you can either cover up for him or help him out or even make him better. But it takes time. The problem that the Raiders have right now, especially at the tackle spot, is that they've been playing against some beasts that know how to rush the quarterback. You talked about the Charger game, Khalil Mack, and they were even without Bosa. But you have to understand that you're going to have max protection to take some of those disruptors out, because that's what the league has evolved to. It's evolved to having at least a Bosa or a Von Miller on every team so they can create a rush. We got Max Crosby. Other teams have got their other guys that can deal the damage. But you have to be mindful of where they are, and you have to assign a person not only to chip on them, but help them out, give them some help so your quarterback can stay safe.
All right, we don't know who's going to start a quarterback. We're going to probably all find out about 90 minutes for the game, which is fun for you because you're going to be calling it. Who would you start at quarterback? Would it be Aiden O'Connell or would it be Brian Hoyer?
Though I think Aiden O'Connell's future is bright, I don't know if the timing situation has got rectified. When he played in the Charger game, what was hampering him is that he was a little bit too confident back there in the backfield. It was not like preseason. This game is not like preseason. He held on the ball for far too long. That internal clock has got to get moving faster. With that being said, if I had my druthers, I would probably start Hoyer, mainly because he's more familiar with the offense, more experienced with the offense, and more experienced with the pro game as it's played during the regular season. So I think that he can really do some things to light up the team. Obviously, the future is for O'Connell, and I don't have no problem with that. It's just right now the team needs to win. I think they should go with Hoyer.
Yeah, once you put a rookie in, you almost want them to get consecutive starts, multiple starts to get into a rhythm. Spot starts, never been good for a rookie. Davante Adams has made some headlines. He said he wants the ball, basically, and it's a fair question. Why aren't we seeing Davante get more targets?
It's not that you're not trying to give him the football. It's the fact that he's being double covered. And when you're double covered and sometimes triple covered, you don't have the time to get the ball to him. More importantly, the protection is an issue. If you look at the past games so far this season, the quarterbacks, whomever they are, is Garoppolo, O'Connell, whatever, have been running around a lot more than you would want them. They're not as still and stagnant in the pocket as you would like. So that's one of the reasons why you haven't been able to find number 17. And also, I think on top of that, it's the fact that they have to get more creative with their ability to get him involved, whether they line him up at slot, X, or Z. They've got to move him around because teams are going to dedicate not only a corner, I've seen it in the past couple of games, a corner to play underneath and a safety to play over top. Jabril Peppers from the Patriots did the exact same thing. That's when he had that big hit. The corner released Davante Adams on the inside, let him go with that slant because he knew that number 5 was sitting right there, and that's why Adams got that big hit from Peppers.
Davante's always been double teamed, though, and he's gotten numbers in the past. So like you said, there are adjustments that can be made to figure out ways to get him the ball. Raiders are struggling in the red zone. They were there 6 times last week and only got 1 touchdown. Why do you think they're struggling there?
Well, this is nothing new, but as far as the red zone is concerned, Amber, it comes down to execution. When you get into the red zone, the field is condensed, which becomes advantage defense. The offense has got to do its absolute best to execute at as high as the possibility that it can. And we just haven't seen it on a consistent basis. More importantly, you got to get clever with the play calling because teams are going to want to take out number 8. They want to go take out number 17. And now number 16, Jacoby Myers is in that one as well. You're going to have to figure out someone else to go with the football. In the past, the Raiders have had success with Hunter Renfrow, who's been relatively a no-show this so far. And the tight ends have come in huge because you put the tight ends on an island where they're being covered by safeties. A lot of times they're undersized or smaller than them, becomes advantage of tight end. We haven't seen that as well.
Yeah, got to throw those contested balls up in the end zone, especially to Michael Mayer, what we've seen the past couple of weeks from him. You know what it takes. We just saw you all fired up. You know what it takes to be dominant in the trenches, and you have had to block some pretty bad dudes out there before. What is your assessment of the rookie, Tyree Wilson, so far?
I think that Tyree Wilson is going to be fine. I think what most people take in consideration when you draft somebody, especially in the top 10, that he's supposed to have an immediate impact. Yes and no. The fact is that Tyree has got to get used to playing NFL caliber talent. And to be honest, the most of the side that he's playing on, Amber, is considered the most prestigious side of the offensive line, the left side, which he generally in most teams send their best offensive linemen to block on the left side. So he's got to get used to that. It's just a matter of play. Just like Bennett, rookies are going to take their snaps. They're going to take their lumps, Amber, but more importantly, they've got to get playing time. They just got to be out there. They got to see it. They got to get snaps. You can't duplicate it in practice. You can't even have it in a scrimmage. It's got to be game time. I think Wilson will be fine.
Lincoln Kennedy, have fun traveling to Chicago. Enjoy the deep dish pizza up there, and we'll be listening to you on Raider Nation Radio. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Amber.
All right, so to come here on the Silver and Black Show, it is the rookie everyone is talking about. Michael Mayer has come to life. He joins the show. We get to know him a little bit next.
3rd and 7. Garoppolo again. It's Mayer with the catch, the wiggle, the spin, and the first down.
This guy is unique. He plays outside, inside, and he does everything. He just needs to learn the NFL. Now he's more comfortable. He understands what's required of him as a pass catcher, as a route runner. And so we're being able to involve him more in third down. We converted a few third downs, the tight end position did, and some things on early downs too. But the more we get him the ball in space and they have to actually tackle him and get him to the ground, it's difficult for some of these smaller defensive backs to tackle a man like that who runs as tough, physical, and violent as he does.
For the full interview of Josh McDaniels with JT the Brick, visit Raiders.com or the Raiders official YouTube page. Welcome back to the Silver and Black Show. It's no secret, Josh McDaniels loves a big tight end. And this year's draft class was deep at that position. When the Raiders traded up to get Notre Dame's Michael Mayer in the second round, it was just a matter of time before his number would be called in the Raiders offense. And that has been the case lately. As we say hello to Michael Mayer, who joins us from the Raiders practice field. Welcome in. Good to have you back on the show twice in a week.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here. Good to be here.
Well, you're doing something right if you're on these shows. You had 2 targets in the first 4 weeks, 9 in the last 2. What's the key to earning McDaniels' trust?
I think I just came to work every day and just kind of did what I had to do. Whether that be, gaining trust from Jimmy, gaining trust from McDaniels, gaining trust from my tight ends coach Jerry. This has been a process. It's been a long process. I've had to have some patience within this process. But in terms of, getting targets and getting the ball my way, I'm really just out there trying to do what I can do to help the team win. And when the ball finds me, when the ball comes my way, I need to do what I need to do, help get first downs, help get yardage, help score touchdowns, things like that.
Has anyone told, I don't know if you're a fantasy football player, has anyone told you you were one of the most sought after waiver wire pickups in fantasy this week?
I have not heard that, no.
None of your friends have told you that?
No. I'm trying to stay away from all that. I'm off Instagram, I'm off Twitter, I'm off fantasy football, I'm off all of it. So trying to stay focused to the task at hand here. All
right, well, it is a compliment for what it's worth. After the game, you spoke about your growing confidence on Raiders game day. What is feeding that confidence right now?
I think it's practice. I think it's repetition. I think it's practice. I think it's getting balls from Hoy, getting balls from Jimmy and Aiden, and just kind of repeating certain plays that I know I can run, that they know I can run, and get open on and use my body and use my length, use my hands, things like that. That's kind of what's accelerating me into kind of making plays in the game. It starts to practice for me. And, that quarterback, they have to trust me. And that's what I've been building. And I can finally say that, I can guarantee they trust me throwing the ball my way and certain things like that.
Yeah, you'll see more of it. I'm sure at practice this week there's been a lot of focus in the red zone. In recent years, there was always a tight end here like a Darren Waller to go up and get those contested balls in the end zone and the red zone. Do you feel like you can be that 50-50 kind of guy?
100%. And I think, look, really, I don't think we've really had a chance to do that yet. In terms of the red zone, we got to get a hat on a hat. We got to communicate. We got to be penalty free. You really can't be getting false starts in the red zone, getting penalties, holding, things like that. So we got to play clean football in the red zone, and we know that.
It's clear that Josh McDaniels trusts you now. He wants to build with you, but he also wants to build with Trey Tucker. You guys came out of the same draft class. Do you two ever talk about the potential of being used the same way that those Patriots offenses that had so much success with Rob Gronkowski, Coach Amendola, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, those slot receivers? Do you guys ever talk about that?
No, we haven't. Look, we're in Las Vegas now. We're with the Raiders now. It's about what we can do as a Raider, what we can do with Josh McDaniels as the head coach, with Lombardi as the OC and things like that. We're here. We're trying to, make this place our home. We're not worried about the Patriots, what the Patriots did back then, and that's kind of been our philosophy, and that's kind of been our mojo here.
Well, you have been compared to Gronkowski just because of the body size and the talent, but what tight end did you study coming up?
I mean, one of my good buddies, George Kittle, he's a menace. He's fantastic. He's went to tight end U with him a couple years ago, got to kind of hang out with him in Nashville, got to train with him, and what a great guy he is. He really took me under my wing. He really taught me a lot of things, and I'd say I've studied a lot of his tape, especially in the blocking game, getting his hands inside, keeping his feet running, things like that. He's been a menace his whole career, and it's a cool thing to kind of learn from and to try to, gain some of this insight from.
He's also a huge wrestling fan. You're a wrestling fan?
I'm not.
No?
I'm not. No.
You should hang out with him. It's a lot of fun when he talks about what's going on in the WWE. The oldest cliche in the NFL is the game really slowed down for him. Everybody says that, but the truth is this is a fast game when you transition from college to the NFL. Describe how you've progressed through that.
I think there was a certain point I can say now where week 5-ish, 6-ish, the offense kind of started clicking for me in terms of really understanding the offense and understanding what I'm supposed to do and what my role is. I think sometimes, I can say this in camp, like you're kind of just focused on your job. What do you need to do? Now I can kind of see the offense as a whole and kind of understand different people's routes, understand where Josh is going to be running the ball, where do I want to block my guy, things like that. And it's definitely been clicking for me. And I think, when they say, the game is a little bit faster when you get to the league. That's not a joke. That's not, nobody's making that up. That's a real thing, and it just takes a second to adjust to.
Who has helped you the most making that transition from Notre Dame to the NFL?
Yeah, I'd say, the first guy that kind of welcomed me with open arms is Jimmy G. He's been a great mentor to me. He's been a great guy to me. And look, that's the guy that was been around Gronk at the Patriots. So he helped me out a lot, in the spring and in camp and things like that. And I got to give a shout out to my tight ends too. Jesper Horsted, Austin Hooper, Cole Fotheringham, and Shanker. Everybody's kind of helped me in the tight end room to kind of get confidence, to kind of learn the offense, to kind of, some people have been in this offense a long time and they really understand it. So.
And then we really saw the growth in that Patriots game where you had 75 receiving yards, but 35 of those, I don't like to harp on stats, but 35 of those were after the catch, and 22 of those were after contact. Do you pride yourself in being a yak guy?
100%. That's something I really did well in college, I feel like, is make people miss, whether it be a stiff arm, a hurdle, lower my shoulder, things like that. I definitely pride myself on that. And as I go here and we start getting rolling here into the season, into the middle of the season, things like that, I'm going to be priding on myself on that a lot. Yeah,
we can tell you thrive off of that physical contact. This week against the Bears, nobody is sure who is starting at quarterback. You guys probably know more than we do, but how do you prepare to catch passes from two different quarterbacks?
Yeah, I've been catching passes from all three of them since the first day I got here. So, it's not like we're going to go in there and it's just going to be like somebody throwing me the ball that's never thrown me the ball. So I've been repping all three quarterbacks really since the first day I got here. I trust in all three of them. I know all three of them trust in me. And, that's kind of what it's about. It's about us. It's about going and kind of executing what we need to execute.
Well, Michael Mayer, it's so fun having you on. For what it's worth, I did check my waiver wire. I did try to pick you up as a tight end on my fantasy team, but I guess you're not that interested in it. But we're interested in seeing you out there against the Bears. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, still to come here on the Silver and Black Show. The Raiders defense is stepping up. We're going to tell you how they're doing it next in One Big Thing. The Silver and Black Show has been brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Allegiant, the official airline of the Las Vegas Raiders. Low fares, nonstop flights. Book now only at Allegiant.com. Chevron with Techron gives you unbeatable cleaning and mileage. Chevron, together ahead. Time now for One Big Thing, and it's a big one. We don't know who's going to play quarterback for the Raiders Sunday. Josh McDaniels knows, but he's going to keep it close to the vest until inactives are announced. We saw the rookie Aiden O'Connell have a tough go of it in his NFL debut against the Chargers. He was sacked 7 times, fumbled the ball 3 times, and threw 1 interception. Getting him back on the horse could be a good thing, but if it's a spot start, you have to ask, what's the point? Rookies need reps repeatedly, and unless he's going to get a few starts in a row, then perhaps the veteran, Brian Hoyer, is the best bet. And as for Hoyer, you gotta love seeing that 48-yard bomb he threw to Trey Tucker in his second pass of the Patriots game last week. Also, it's pretty clear Hoyer is respected as a leader in the locker room. But in this matchup against a struggling Bears offense, it'll be the Raiders' defense that once again has an opportunity to shine. Quietly, they've been one of the most improved units in the NFL over the past 4 weeks, especially the pass defense. Look at that. They are top 5 in that time span. A big reason for the change is Patrick Graham's adjustments.
You have adapted your scheme to your personnel. How critical is that, and how did you learn that?
More importantly, learn to listen. The Josh is a great mentor, great leader for us, for me especially, and had been around him for a number of years in the past, and he gave me this opportunity. You just got to be able to listen. And I think most of the good leaders I've been around, they're really good listeners. And whatever adjustments we make throughout schematically or whatever it may be, you got to be able to listen and then just be able to look at it, watch the tape, evaluate, figure out what group you have and build it around there. But you can't be stubborn. I know that. It's all about evolving throughout the season, less about creation, more about evolving throughout the season, and that comes from listening.
Well, it's working. And while a guy like Max Crosby is putting up Defensive Player of the Year numbers, let's give some love to the role players like Amik Robertson and Trayvon Merrick, who have stepped up considerably the last 2 weeks. Both have adapted to their second year in Graham's system and have shown quite a knack for being in the right place at the right time. Robertson has stepped in for an injured Nate Hobbs and not only had the game-ending interception against the Packers, he had a sack, a quarterback hit, and a tackle for loss against the Patriots. As a corner, Merrick has interceptions in consecutive games, and he's doing it with a broken hand. The Raiders are getting to the ball this year. An interception Sunday would tie the Raiders' total interceptions for all of last year at 6. And we're only a third of the way through the season. That's impressive. Back in August, most believed the offense would be the strength of this team. And so far, it's been the upstart 11th ranked Raiders defense. That'll do it for us. Raiders look for win number 4 Sunday at Soldier Field. Kickoff is set for 10 a.m. Pacific. Catch us right back here after the game for Raiders Game Day, all your post-game action. Have a great weekend, everyone.